his feet, just like guys, look out. Here comes the Spider-Man. Is he strong? Listen, bud. He's got radioactive blood. Can he swing from a thread? Take a look overhead. Hey there goes the Spider-Man. In the chill of night, at the scene of a crime, like a streak of light, he arrives just in time. Spider-Man, Spider-Man, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Well conveyed, he's ignored. Action is his reward to me.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of the Nerd Eye Council.
What up, what up?
You're bringing it back old school with the 1960s theme song from Spider-Man.
And I remember it. Does anyone else remember it? The show, that is. Everybody knows the song because of Spider Pig.
Yes, Spider Pig made famous by Homer Simpson. And if you couldn't tell, this week's episode, we're going to be talking a little bit more about Spider-Man, more specifically Spider-Man Homecoming.
I just got to throw this out here. I listened to Kevin Smith. Shout out to Kevin Smith and Smilecast. Kevin Smith, Fat Man on Batman. They it's not always Batman, it's often other things too, but they reviewed the trailer. Kevin Smith said, best trailer in cinematic history. I was like, damn. I loved it too, but big words.
You can take that to the bank.
Right? Go ahead.
So,
we're gonna do a little bit of we're gonna do a little Spider-Man. We're gonna talk about Celebration that's going on
next week.
Yep. And the big trailer that we've all been pining for is finally a week away.
The highly anticipated Episode 8 trailer.
I'm telling you, my life is moving 1,000 miles an hour until someone talks about this trailer, and then it's like at a fucking snail's pace. When will it be here? Nate Dogg and I were just talking about back in January. I was like, oh man, I can't wait to see Episode 8 trailer. Yeah, we'll have it by Super Bowl, by February at the latest. And then when there was talks about, they might wait till Celebration, I thought, no fucking way are they going to make us wait 4 months. Oh my god, they just need to fucking drop that trailer by now. But we're gonna talk a little bit about speculation, shit we kind of hope to see, or it would be exciting to see in the trailer, what kind of tone it's going to have, that sort of thing. And then that's just for kicks. And then when we do get to see the trailer, we can kind of go, oh, well, we were totally fucking off about that, but that other part was cool.
Right.
So we're going to give you like what our expectations are for the trailer. And then next week when it drops, we're going to talk a lot about the trailer, for sure. Also, we're going to talk this week about Spider-Man. What else do you have in your notes?
Yes. So this week we're going to talk about the more information that came out about Spider-Man Homecoming. The co-producer Eric Carroll revealed at a press event for it just a little more background on Michael Keaton's character in
The Vulture.
in the movie The Vulture, or his civilian name, Adrian Toomes.
Oh, shit, I didn't even know that.
Yes. Toomes, apparently he was the owner of a small salvage company that would get called out to clean up disaster areas.
Oh, I already know where you're going with that.
Right. Apparently, after the events of Age of Ultron, after Sokovia.
The fucking Sokovia event.
Yes. It is implied that Tony Stark then created the Bureau of Damage Control, which is basically a large-scale cleanup crew in the Marvel Universe. There was rumors that they were going to make a show, a live show on television based around Damage Control. I believe ABC. Either ABC, yeah, it's probably ABC or NBC.
So ABC or one of the...
Yeah, it was either ABC or NBC. There was rumors about doing a damage control show. It was supposed to be kind of comedic or whatever. It's this group that goes around and cleans up after the Avengers, pretty much.
Similar to the show you like.
Yeah, Powerless.
Powerless.
Yeah.
But this is the Marvel version.
Right.
Huh.
So Tony creates this large scale to he's probably thinking global with this, since the villains are getting more global, basically. And basically this damage control group kind of lowers his Adrian Toombs' his jobs, basically kind of running them out of business almost.
So this is Marvel's version of the Trade Federation.
Yeah, that's what it kind of sounds like.
I mean, I guess in cinematic terms, comic books usually have, it's not just a bad guy versus a good guy. There's usually some ulterior motive.
Yeah, this is kind of their way of humanizing, kind of making it the villains relatable to normal people. Is there's a method to his madness. He's not just batshit fucking crazy.
They need to be careful about this shit because we all know what happened to George Lucas's ideas about the Trade Federation and all of that bullshit, the separatists, the stuff that just in the prequels was so I mean, it's not like it can't be done right,
yeah,
but too much of that shit will bog down a movie. And I get it. Again, this is, I don't know. I don't know if I like the idea of the sound of this.
Well, apparently, Spider-Man: Homecoming starts off the very first thing is you see Michael Keaton at the very beginning, kind of briefly showing him. I guess it starts with him at Stark Tower or Avengers Tower now, and he's getting ready to clean up a mess around there, and the damage control crew comes in. No, we got this. It's okay. And so it just kind of adds to him. Tony Stark doesn't care about the little guys, and all this shit. So apparently it starts out with him and kind of like a real quick kind of an origin story almost.
Yeah, they really are, in a weird way, trying to paint kind of a bad picture of Tony Stark. If you take Civil War into account, and I'm not saying he was the villain at all. That movie you were kind of supposed to choose a side, but they made Captain America, obviously it was a Captain America movie.
Right.
They made Captain America's side seem more morally correct or whatever. And now here you go again where they're like, yeah, fucking Tony's taking money out of people's hands.
Well, yeah, it's one of those instances where Tony, his head's in the right place, he means well, but it's an idea of his that ends up just kind of going wrong one way or another.
Right.
And Tony Stark creates another fucking villain.
Right.
One of those things.
Which Iron Man is for sure the MCU's version of, that's their Batman.
Yeah.
And Batman has a habit of creating his own criminals too.
Right.
That's kind of an interesting parallel, I think. But I guess I was thinking, if they make it seem like Tony is, kind of a quasi responsible for hurting people's lives or whatever, they kind of did the same thing with Civil War. But it might paint an interesting picture with the character of the Vulture. You might actually feel sympathetic towards this guy. Kind of sounds like that's what they're trying to do. For us to understand his plight and what, and like, oh, well, okay, I see why he's so pissed off.
Right. Yeah, it kind of paints. You kind of get a little better picture with specifically with one of the lines in the trailer for Michael Keaton character saying that I will do anything for my family.
Oh yeah, right.
So now that's like, okay, maybe he's actually talking about his actual family. He's not having jobs, so he's not getting money in. He's got to do something. So then he takes up robbing, probably. I'm assuming he robs bank or something,
right,
to try to provide for his family, and it's just kind of like one of those deals. But it sounds like he's like, it doesn't sound like he's conflicted, unlike the Sandman from Spider-Man 3, where it's like,
oh shit, you're taking me back,
right, where he's
what was his story? Wasn't he in prison?
No, he was. This is kind of one of the shitty
holes
parts, the holes in the in Spider-Man 3, where he was the accomplice to the guy that killed Uncle Ben, and he was there, and Peter finds out that he was there, but he thinks that he was the one that killed him.
That's right.
And he goes after him and all this stuff, and he if you don't remember, because it's such a forgettable movie.
Yeah, and it's been a while. But
yeah.
I've seen it once. Truly, one time I never went back.
Right. He stumbles into a testing pit for whatever reason. And he basically gets genetically fused with sand, and now he's able to manipulate sand and everything.
He stumbled into it?
Yeah, it was like he falls into like this pit, and he's like, "Oh, what?" And got a completely clueless scientists. They're like, "All right, let's test number 4. Let's go." No, don't see. There's a guy down there.
Sure, there's somebody. Screw it.
It's
Friday.
Yeah,
just hit the button.
I need to get my freak on. Let's go. And it's just, and then they activate it, and he gets merged with the sand, and then he becomes the Sandman. But in that movie, he's like, he robs banks, but like he does it for his daughter, and he's like, I don't want to do this, but...
Wasn't his daughter Bryce Dallas Howard? Or Howard, whatever the fuck her name is.
It might have been.
Cute, blondish, red-haired... It's Ron Howard's daughter.
Maybe, yeah.
I think it was.
Yeah, like...
She was in it somehow. I don't quite remember what she played.
Right.
But I think she was the daughter of Sandman. Was she an older woman or daughter? Like a younger?
Boy, I think it was a daughter.
Little did you know we would fucking dissect Spider-Man 3 when you started listening to this podcast. Little did I know.
Right.
But actually, there's something I want to add to that a little bit later on. So
right. So the reason I bring it up is because Michael Keaton's character, Toombs, he's doing it for his family, but it's not. But it's like, he's like fully invested in this. He's like, don't get in my way or I will kill you. Like, not like, please don't get in my way. Please don't. I don't want to do this. Don't get in my way. Please don't make me kill you. It's just kind of one of those things. No, this is why Michael Keaton is such a badass actor, is that, if you've seen those trailers, he's got a smile on his face. He's like, don't mess with me, kid, or I'll kill you and everyone you love.
Right on.
It's just like one of those
yeah, give me more.
Such a good.
There's a lot they have to work into this picture. A lot. I'll bring it up, but I've heard more about the movie myself, and there's a lot that they need to cram into this movie. There is scheduled to be a sequel, so I guess they have that to play around. My prayer is that they don't that Keaton is not a throwaway villain. I really He's too talented. If you're gonna bring that guy in and pay him the money, because he doesn't come cheaply, I'm sure. If you're gonna pay him the money, I hope we see him more than 5 minutes on screen. That's one of my fears.
Well, yeah. Well, Well,
plus
he's supposed
Shocker.
to be.
There's Shocker in this. I mean, there might even be a villain behind the villains.
Right. I think Michael Keaton is supposed to be the main antagonist in this,
Right.
so he's going to be featured throughout the film. I think Shocker is going to be one of those lesser
That's what I heard.
villains that may get the drop on Spider-Man for a little bit, but then he's easily taken care
I
of.
didn't even hear who's playing Shocker. Is it somebody we know?
I don't know.
Must not be too big of a name. Cause I don't
No. Yeah, like one of I think I heard somebody said it looks like Donald Glover, but I highly doubt it's
I doubt.
Donald Glover in a throwaway Spider-Man character, basically, which is basically what Shocker is, really. I mean, he goes toe-to-toe with Spider-Man, but he's not in the same level as, like, Dr. Octopus or
Right.
Venom or Carnage, kind of like that.
Right.
So, it's, it's got that, he's got that conviction where it's just like, don't get in my way, and I think that's what's going to separate this villain from like Spider-Man 3 or basically.
Well, it certainly takes on a whole new spin if you factor in that he's virtually talking about his own family. Like I was saying, I'm going to go back and watch the trailer now. I've watched the crap out of that trailer. I love that trailer. I really do. I'm not going to go so far as to say best cinematic trailer ever. I believe that's coming in a week.
Right.
So, but I do love the Spider-Man trailer. And I love that they are working in the tech part of it all. Which always seemed to be an important part of Spider-Man that kind of gets overlooked. Doc Ock. Part of the reason I love Doc Ock, Spider-Man 2, probably my favorite Spider-Man film, and one of the better Marvel villains, in my opinion.
I think Alfred Molina as Dr. Otto Octavius was the perfect casting.
That guy,
because he looked and he acted just like what we've seen in the animated.
Right, and whether or not he knew the character or whatever, you can tell he did some research. Maybe he grew up reading Spider-Man and was like, oh, fuck yeah, I love Doc Ock, I'll play him.
Right.
But if not, he definitely did some research, because I agree with you. He fit the part, he looked it, seemed like right off the pages. But, reading Spider-Man when I was younger, tech was a part of that world. With a lot of the villains, Spider-Man.
Spider-Man himself.
Right.
I mean, depending on which version you watched or you read or whatever, there's some where he created his web shooters.
The original origin story is, yes, he was bit by a spider. Yes, he obtained radioactive or powers from this radioactive spider. But the original origin story is he made those web slingers.
And the web fluid.
Right.
On top of that. So
and it's kind of an interesting spin, I guess, because they never really explained that. I guess that you just assumed, oh, this young kid knows tech. Like, he can make shit like that. But I don't really remember. Again, leave a comment if you're like, what the fuck is Darth Payne talking about? I read that in issue, blah, blah, blah. I did not read a whole lot of Spider-Man, so I might be talking shit. But I think it's kind of cool that they bring in Tony Stark for these movies and go, oh, yeah, he's getting all his tech from Tony Stark. That's kind of a cool explanation to me. And then they take it even further, as we see in the trailer. He loses that suit. And so apparently Tony gives and taketh away.
Giveth and taketh away.
He's like, well, this awesome piece of shit. You like this? All right. If you don't follow the rules, I'm taking it away from you. What was I going to say? I want to add kind of what I had heard a little bit about, and it's funny, we were talking about Spider-Man 3 because I was watching a video, and I don't know where the hell what video it was, but on YouTube, and they were talking about the future of the MCU and where Spider-Man fits into that. And I think that's worthy of bringing up again for a moment. What they were saying in this video was that, I'll give you a little bit of history, Nate. Mm-hmm. So, what happened with the first two Spider-Man movies, the original, Tobey Maguire, those two movies, Marvel had bought the rights to Spider-Man years before that.
Right.
And knew they were going to make a movie. Through all, just like, and we're going to talk about this too, what Warner Brothers is doing now with Matt Reeves. The fuck was the guy? Sam Raimi.
Yeah.
They basically said, here you go. You have total control. We're going to make a trilogy. You make Spider-Man how you want to make it. So, first two movies, incredibly successful. And then, the third movie, we all know, is subpar in relation to the others.
Sam Raimi was apparently kidnapped and locked in a dark room, and his evil twin took over.
No, brother, it goes back to the same shit we talk about all the time nowadays with studios getting in the way. So apparently he had made most of the movie, and Sandman, who was, it was Sandman and there was another villain.
It was in the final product, it was Sandman, Venom, and New Goblin is what they call him.
Oh, okay. Okay, so, I wasn't really down with the New Goblin, but I think if there was more focus time put into it, at the Son taking over the mantle, could have been a good idea. It could have. It turned out not to be, but basically this video I was watching was saying that Sam Raimi had the movie 3/4 done, 2/3 done, let's say. And in the original concept, it was going to be the New Goblin, his son taking over, and Sandman were the two main characters. And the executives stepped in and said, and this is interesting, no, you got to put Venom in it. And he's like, no. And they're like, no, you have to, because we're going to spin off. And we're going to create a Venom verse. Much like they're talking about now.
Now, yeah.
Isn't that crazy? It's the same fucking idea. It took them because that movie was so fucking bad, and they had to reboot Spider-Man twice now.
Yeah.
The original idea, they're steamrolling forward. Which I did the same thing. I kind of laughed like, oh, it's not this like new idea of like, oh, hey, everybody else has got a universe going on. Let's create the Venom verse because that's like all we got. No, this was their plan way back. And Sam Raimi was like, I don't want to do this. Like, make another Spider-Man movie and throw him in there. So basically, they forced him into it, held a gun to his fucking head. and Venom is a great character, but I mean, he is a cool character, but there was not enough focus on like the origin. They just twisted shit all around to make it fit.
Yeah. Topher Grace.
Topher Grace, yeah.
It's not good of a
and I
selection.
love him in the 70s show. I really do. I haven't seen him do shit since.
True, yeah.
And you can maybe blame that all on Spider-Man 3, or Topher Grace was just fucking awesome as Eric and born to play that part, and maybe nothing else.
Yeah, exactly.
Talk about typecasting. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. I wanted to bring it up. Like, no, Sony is still like giving the middle finger to everybody. Like, no, we're doing this, bitches, whether you want it or not. 20 years later, or maybe it's not quite that long, but 10 years later, it's coming.
But maybe, unlike DC is unlike what they're doing now. Maybe Marvel learned their lesson from Spider-Man 3. It's like, maybe the execs are like, okay, our bad, we kind of put you in a tight spot, so maybe we're going to be more hands-off. We're going to let the directors and everybody, we'll let them kind of mold whatever universe they want, and we'll just be a little more hands off. And in turn, we get Iron Man and the start of the Marvel Universe, which has exploded into uber level of awesomeness and everything. So probably because of Spider-Man 3. So I guess if one of the good things to come out of Spider-Man 3 was probably the realization that, wow, we fucked up with Spider-Man 3, so maybe we shouldn't be as hands-on as maybe we have been in the past.
We fucked up the Venomverse, and now we're gonna make it right, kind of thing.
And you figure, when was Spider-Man 3 out? What, 2006?
Let's say it was about 10 years ago, something like that.
Something like that.
In 2006, 2007.
Yeah, about 2006. And you figure 2 years later, Iron Man comes out, so they kind of save face there. But let's say, 2006, so let's wait maybe 10, 11, probably 12 years before Venom gets his own movie, supposedly, as of right now.
So, you want the bad news or the bad news? So, that's Nate Dogg's optimism, and now Darth Payne is going to slap you with some maybe
some reality.
Maybe a little bit of reality, maybe a little bit of cynicism. Other videos I've been watching about this subject is that we're not quite grasping what's going on. And of course, these are other people's opinions on these videos. They have, some of them have connections, others are just more opinionated. Mm-hmm. I've seen several videos that have talked about how shit ain't cool between Sony and Marvel. Not like we think it is. Basically, one video I was watching was talking about that. So Sony reboots Spider-Man with The Amazing Spider-Man. Into the second one, they make 2 of those, right?
Yeah, Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Right. The second one I've seen, again, once, very forgettable. But basically, this one video was talking about how Sony, at the point of the end of 2, was in serious financial trouble, and still is, actually. And I've heard that from several places, that they're fine. The movie department, at least, the cinematic part of Sony, I can't even.
Yeah, I can't imagine all the PlayStations that they've been selling. That
PlayStation alone,
they would be in financial trouble.
But if you stop and you start thinking about, when's the last time I saw a Sony logo in front of a movie? And what was it? I can't really remember other than Spider-Man. Fantastic Four.
Oh, whoops.
But I never saw that movie, and I don't plan on ever seeing it. But basically, they were saying that Sony knew we have 2 options. And we're going to take this back 2 years ago. We have 2 options. Hand over Spider-Man, which we really don't want to do. Make a deal, get some money, basically, and close the studios. Once we hand over Spider-Man, all hope is gone. Or we can bargain with Marvel, try to build up this character again to where we are in good standing with the public, because we all know they lost a lot of good graces with the public. And if Marvel can work their magic for us and bring Spider-Man back into good graces, then we can move forward with the plans that we had originally. And I've heard this from 2 different sources, two different totally different videos, 2 different guys talking about this.
So it's basically sounding like that they did this so that Marvel would do all the grunt work to build up Spider-Man, and then they would take back the finished product and say, see, look what we did.
And I can't believe, it benefits Disney, obviously, because Spider-Man was a huge hit in Civil War, and we're all going to be psyched to see Spider-Man in an even bigger role in Infinity War and the next Avengers film, or maybe even the next 2 Avengers films, I don't know. But for sure, he's in Infinity War, and we can assume an even bigger part. So after Homecoming, I'm thinking it's going to kick ass in the theaters. We're going to love seeing more Spider-Man amongst the Avengers. So this one video was basically saying, Homecoming 2, don't put all your stock into it. Because there's no deal, this is what this guy said, there's no deal for a second sequel set in stone yet. Or I shouldn't say a second sequel. A sequel to Homecoming that's not set in stone. Now, I've heard conflicting stories about that. I have heard that there is.
Yeah.
But, and I mentioned this before on a podcast, the brother playing Spider-Man, who I have not grasped his name yet.
Tom Holland?
Tom Holland, good call. Tom Holland's contract is with Sony. It is not with Marvel. It is not with Disney. It's with Sony. And he is slated for, remember we talked about this a little bit. He's done 3 pictures already. Where were we at? Counting Homecoming.
So he was in Civil War.
He was in Civil War.
He's going to be in Homecoming.
I guess those are 2, yeah.
He's going to be in Infinity War. And
so the guy in the video was saying, as in set in stone, that's where it ends. They have to renegotiate after that. And this guy was basically saying, by the time we see Spider-Man, after we see Homecoming, and then we see him in Infinity War, they're back on top with Spider-Man. And why would it benefit Sony to continue to lend Spider-Man to a rival studio? At that point, they have Tom Holland with 3 more. I know Nate's making these. Nate Dogg is over here growling, basically. Don't tell me this, Darth Payne. And I hope it's all fucking wrong, because truth be told, fuck you, Sony. He belongs with Marvel. We all know that. I mean, I'm looking forward to a great Sony Marvel picture, but we all know Spider-Man belongs with the Avengers. He belongs in that universe. He belongs at the right hand of Tony Stark, as like Tony Stark's apprentice or whatever they're trying to make him. So I hope they're all wrong, and I hope, and I don't know, man, we're in this weird, everybody's like, oh my god, when we heard Marvel, that he had signed a deal with Marvel, oh my god, it finally happened, and Sony already gets a little bit of credit just for doing that. We're like, they listen to us, they're not total fucking idiots.
Yeah, you would kind of look at Sony as like, hey, look, we're team players,
right?
Right. We can be the buddy and all this stuff.
We know this is what you want, and we can work with another studio to give you what you want. So immediately you're like, gold star, like these guys, they're not Warner Brothers, right on.
Yeah, right. You see it like, oh yeah, you can have them for a couple of movies, but we want them back later,
right?
It's just kind of one of those things, just like,
and it's almost we're almost, as fans, in a weird fucking scenario of where should we be cheering for failure? I mean, if these movies succeed, the likelihood of him coming to Marvel lessens.
Right. Well, I guess you wouldn't hope for failure, because then Sony could be like, well, see, they dropped the ball. It's all their fault, and we're going to get them back, and now we're going to...
Yeah.
I guess Tom Holland didn't work out, so we'll reboot him for a 4th time.
Yeah, that's what the guy in the video was like. I'm just afraid that they're going to do 3 or 4 films with Tom Holland and then another Spider-Man. And yeah, that's a fear too. Yeah. I'm not at all cheering for Spider-Man Homecoming to fail. I'm looking forward to it. You know that. But in a weird way, yeah, that's one scenario that you just played out. But another scenario, if they're really financially on the brink and this is their last big move to garner success back and make some more money, if Homecoming fails, the likelihood, which I don't think it will, but the likelihood that they would be like, you know what? Fuck it. We tried. We even brought Marvel in. Here you go. Because Marvel's just waiting at the doorstep with a handful of fucking money, pockets of dollar bills just falling out of their fucking pants.
Yeah, it's like that salesman at the door,
right?
Trying to sell you something. No, I'm not interested. But instead of him leaving, he's just standing there.
Right.
He's like, they're gonna open the door.
You will be eventually. If you don't want it now, you will later. So, I mean, that's, as fans, that's kind of a weird scenario that most of us want Spider-Man to be in the Marvel Universe, and the success of these movies is really only going to make Sony cling to Spider-Man even more. Probably. Most likely. But it's really interesting because what's going on with Spider-Man is pretty similar to what's going on in the Warner Brothers DC universe. Also, I mean, there's a lot of parallels
Right.
that I want to talk about a little bit today. We don't have to at the moment, but fuck it, we will. So I saw this other video that was about is Warner Brothers rebooting? And I kind of mentioned this to you. Are they rebooting already, and just not telling us? And this goes. I'm gonna give credit to his name is Mark Bernardin. He is a co-host with Kevin Smith on Fat Man on Batman, and they talk about other subjects as well, obviously. But he's a writer. Has written movies before. He's also a critic. Works for Washington Post or New York Post, one of those two. And dude knows his shit. Very educated black guy.
Okay.
And he said, in my opinion, the reboot is already happening. And he said, step back from the picture for a moment. And he said, now, he's like 6 months ago, or a year ago, 9 months ago, Warner Brothers is like, Flash, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Justice League Part 1 and maybe even Part 2.
Mm-hmm.
They announced these movies.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Wonder Woman is almost here. Justice League will be here soon after. But Flash, Mark Bernardin said, you're not going to see a Flash movie. And he said straight up, you're not going to see a Flash movie. He said, you are going to see an Aquaman movie, but you might not see Man of Steel 2 either. And I was like, holy shit, where's this guy coming from? But he went on to explain, he's like, think about it. He said, that universe was crumbling fast. He said, Matt Reeves, they call him in to sit down, and basically they have a Ben Affleck / whoever the fuck else wrote it script. Maybe Ben just signed it. I don't know. At this point, I really don't know, and I have big questions in my head. But you had a script for that. You had a director in place before the first talks with Matt Reeves. You had a Flash movie. You had a Cyborg movie. Another one, Mark, whatever his name was, I just said Bernardin. He said you're not going to see a Cyborg movie either. He said, don't count on that. He said, definitely don't count on a Cyborg movie.
Yeah, that didn't surprise me.
That didn't really surprise me either. The Flash movies, don't count on that, surprised me. Man of Steel 2, he's like, maybe. And I was like, what the fuck? He said, now think about this. They know there's trouble with Ben Affleck and the whole universe. Meaning, Ben Affleck's not sure if he wants to do any more Batman. Not just the writing and directing. Which I kind of think that too, myself.
Yeah.
So then they go, okay, fuck. If he's not going to direct it, if he's not going to write it, then we need somebody to write it and direct it and take us down a different direction. So they call in this Matt Reeves guy, and in Warner Brothers, in true Warner Brothers style, says, this is what we're doing. This is where we'd like to use you. And Matt Reeves probably walked in there knowing, you guys are in trouble. You guys need me, and he probably knows more than we do.
Right.
And he probably saying to himself, these motherfuckers need me way more than I need them.
These fuckers are cray.
Right. And so he probably walks in and says, and they go, this is what we want. And he says, no. He says, you guys are falling apart. You know it and I know it. He says, I'll do this, but I want complete control of 3 Batman movies and the entire Batverse. And Warner Brothers is like, fuck you, we got a plan, you know. And he said, and whatever choice words Matt Reeves threw back at him, he walked out. And we all thought, that's that.
Mm-hmm.
1 week later, a deal is signed. A deal giving him complete control. And then almost like quietly, because you get Ben Affleck going, hey, welcome to the Batcave, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But real quietly, hey, there's going to be a Nightwing movie.
Yep.
Hey, there's going to be a Batgirl movie. And I just heard from Collider, shout out to Collider, the Batgirl movie, they're doing casting right now.
Wow, they're fast-tracking that.
Yes, it's being fast-tracked for sure. They got a beat on that. That's a big part of the universe.
That is very weird.
So, now that you kind of get a glimpse of the bigger picture, like this Mark Bernardin guy was saying, is look at it, man. They had a universe put in place consisting of The Flash, Cyborg, Aquaman. We were getting all those movies. And probably 2 Justice League movies. He says, there's Nightwing, Batgirl, and the Batman trilogy. And he said, plus, there's probably going to be a Suicide Squad 2. And he said, from that, they might spin off the Sirens movie.
Gotham City Sirens,
right.
Yeah.
So, almost, and he even said, think about it. You watch the Batgirl movie, end credit scene, that's how they introduce Sirens. And I'm like, damn, that makes a lot of sense. And when you start to think about this, Nate Dogg, you're like, wow, did they just do a fucking abracadabra reboot? And instead of putting all of their folk, and I think about it from a business perspective, Warner Brothers is like, what the fuck are we doing? What are we doing? Where's all our money come from the last 20 years as far as the superhero division? Batman. And now we have created a lukewarm version of Batman as far as the critics and fans. And the dude playing Batman, he's lukewarm about fucking being in the universe, period.
Right.
So, after hearing this video, I was like, I think, and even Kevin Smith's sitting there going, fuck, I think you nailed it, dude. And I was like, wow, I think he might be onto something. For me, the whole Matt Reeves thing is the big elephant in the room. You know, I mean, the way that got glossed over, like, yeah, we're giving it to him. And no one's really talked about it. To me, that's the selling point, like, of, yeah, this might be a newly created Batverse. Which I'm okay with. To be honest, I thought about it after I saw this video, and I'm like, I didn't like the direction they were going. It's not to say that it couldn't have been saved or salvaged, because I think we're going to see a lot different Justice League than we did Batman vs. Superman. I think it's going to have a different, not completely different, because Zack Snyder's still at the helm, but I think it's going to be a little bit different, and Wonder Woman looks vastly different. The trailers, at least.
Yeah.
We could be fooled by the trailers, but it's a lot, to me, when I watch those Wonder Woman trailers, it's a lot shinier. It's a lot more happy-go-lucky instead of this dark, dark, dark world that they were trying to create with Superman and Batman.
Yeah. I mean, you can kind of tell from both the Wonder Woman and the Justice League trailers that there's a little more lightheartedness.
Exactly.
In both of them. You know, there's a couple of jokes or whatever, and I'm hoping that's not the extent of the jokes or whatever that we've seen in the trailers. That's going to be the extent of it, because, you know, we've had that happen before, where they kind of blow their load on the trailer, and that's what you get. You know, perfect example, kind of veering off, you know, Power Rangers, the movie and everything. The action sequences that you've seen in the trailer, that's pretty much all the action that's in the movie.
No shit.
Yeah, so it's like 3 minutes maybe of action. That's it. Everything else is just one big Breakfast Club build up to
one long
to the end.
Origin story.
Pretty much.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and I wasn't gonna go out and see it anyway, because I've watched Power Rangers from the beginning, and what they're putting on the big screen looks like a giant travesty. But that's just my opinion. But.
And I agree. I mean, my interest in that movie was there when I heard about it and saw the first poster and shit. After I think we saw the last trailer for Logan,
Yeah.
I said, fuck that movie. because I'm not quite maybe the Power Rangers fan that you are, but I watched it here and there.
Mm-hmm.
And that trailer just looked so far gone from Power Rangers.
Yeah.
But what do you think, man? If that's true, the Batverse. So what does that mean? If there's some truth to this, does that mean at the end of Justice League, we see fucking people dying? I mean, I don't want to see, if this is really happening, I don't want to see that universe just magically disappear. Do you know what I mean?
I think if we look at this at a different angle, I think maybe they're finally realizing that they can't do 7 different projects at the same time to do a collaboration. Like they were trying to do all this stuff for Justice League. So what it's kind of sounding like is like, okay, we need to focus on one thing and then build from that. So it sounds like they're going to focus on Batman. So we'll get the Batman films, and then we'll get Nightwing. Not in this particular order.
Right, we don't know.
But then Batgirl, and then maybe Gotham City Sirens or whatever, and then maybe those films build up to something else. Maybe they're finally going to say, you know what, this isn't working. We're going to do what Marvel has done. We're going to focus on one, Batman, and then build something from there. And then maybe that leads into, let's say, because it's 2017 now, depending on when that comes out. As of right now, 2020 is supposed to be the Green Lantern Corps.
God, I hope they don't pull the rug on that.
So maybe as they're doing this, maybe they'll add a scene that will lead into the Green Lantern Corps.
And maybe that's why all indications are there's a good chance Green Lantern's not in Justice League. I mean, there's been talk about, maybe we'll see him somewhere. But maybe this is all thought out and planned, and like, maybe Warner Brothers doesn't want to show that card yet. Because if you play your card now in the universe that is crumbling...
True.
You know, why don't we wait for that Green Lantern movie? Maybe... Wouldn't you love to have been a fly on the wall when Matt Reeves sat down with those motherfuckers?
Right.
And said, listen, let me talk some sense into you guys. Because basically, I think you're right, Nate Dogg. I think it took them a decade, almost, to realize, I mean, when they first announced, okay, well, let's take it back to Avengers. I mean, it's not been a decade, but Avengers was
2012? I think it was 2011, 2012, I want to say, because it was Iron Man, because it was a couple of years building up to Avengers.
Iron Man was
07. Iron Man was
07?
08.
08.
It was 2008, and I think Thor was it Thor or was it Captain America? I think it was Thor.
I think we had 2 Iron Man movies before we had any other characters, didn't we? Or did they do Thor before Iron Man 2?
I think because I think it was at the end of Iron Man, they set up the scene with the hammer in the desert.
Yeah,
which I think set up Thor.
I think you're right. I think it was Thor, then Iron Man 2.
I think Iron Man 2, and then maybe
and then
Captain America.
And then Iron Man 3.
No, it was Avengers, because Iron Man 3 took place after the events of the Avengers.
Did it?
Yeah, because remember, Tony Stark is kind of having panic attacks because of him going into the negative zone with the Chitauri and everything, and he's like having like a midlife crisis almost.
Yeah. And
he's kind of wondering, what am I without these suits? Kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And it takes a genius kid to bring him back to reality, pretty much.
Dude, your interpretation of Iron Man 3 is a lot different than mine, because basically I just saw him moping about not having pussy no more. So They took it a lot deeper, but I'm like, oh, fuck, I'd be pissed too. I I had Gwyneth Paltrow. Where'd that pussy go?
Damn it!
I didn't even care about being Iron Man anymore. But yeah, it's been a while since I've seen the third Iron Man. I'm not at all comparing it to Spider-Man 3, but again, it was one of those movies I liked. I didn't like it as much as I liked, the original. I don't know.
Well, it was also kind of a letdown too because of
Mandarin.
We thought the Mandarin. We were actually going to see the Mandarin, but it actually turned out to be some actor playing the Mandarin.
Yeah, that was weird.
But then they after the Iron Man 3 came out, they did a little short little movie or whatever. It was like 10 minutes long about the King Returns or something like that. We're basically implying that the real Mandarin is out there and he wants what's the actor's name? Ben Kingsley. They want Ben Kingsley's character they're basically breaking him out of prison to take him to the real Mandarin because he wants to see you because he wants his name back.
And what was this in?
I think you can see it on YouTube. I think it's like The King Returns or something.
Is it animated?
No, it was live action. It was Ben Kingsley. It was like 10 minutes long. It was like really, really, really short.
Huh.
But I think they did it because of the outcry, because of, oh, he's the Mandarin, but he's not the Mandarin. Oh, fuck you guys.
Yeah,
you know.
And I remember being in the theater, and when that reveal happened, there was a lot of you heard a gasp. What? Like that. I mean, I was kind of thinking it too. Like, what? It was a ballsy move. I will give Disney that. It was a ballsy move that didn't go over so well. But
No.
Just because the Mandarin is like the epic fucking villain.
Well, right. Well, the Mandarin really is Iron Man's main villain.
Yeah.
He's the main antagonist to Iron Man. It's Batman and Joker.
Right.
It's Spider-Man and I'd say Dr. Octopus is probably the main.
Or the Goblin.
Or her Goblin. I mean, either one would be like their main antagonist. And Mandarin is Iron Man's main antagonist. So it's like
it's the equivalent of going to see a Batman movie with the Joker in it, and at the end,
right,
the movie,
Joker's
like, ha ha, I'm actually not the Joker.
I'm actually Carl Weinstein. I do parties on.
But
the
I know the
Joker. It's like, oh my god, it's just.
Anyway, where was I leading with that? We were talking about Avengers.
Yeah, because we were saying that you were going back a decade talking about DC's. It looks like now they're focused on.
Oh yeah,
one.
Yeah,
and it looks like they might build up to something else.
Right. So as soon as Avengers hit and blew up the theaters, Warner Brothers said, "Hot dog."
I think we've got it.
Right, now's the time, because they've been talking about Justice League movie, I think probably even before Avengers was even talked about.
Well, probably.
They've been talking about it for years, way back when Schumacher was ruining universes and shit in the Batverse. But they were talking about it way back then, just didn't have the right opening. And then when Avengers crushed it, now we can make Justice League. And I remember when I first heard that, being excited, but saying, fuck, man, I don't know if they should rush into it, And most of us as fans, we all want shit fast now. Like, give it to me. We don't want to wait for it. But I kind of felt in the back of my mind, like,
Except when it comes to Star Wars for you, because you're like, I want it now! I don't want to wait 4 fucking months. Give it to me now!
Right. But I remember thinking, like, fuck, don't fuck up the Justice League, because I love the Justice League.
Mm-hmm.
My attachment to the Justice League was a lot more thicker than my attachment to Avengers. So I remember thinking that, like, no, I'll wait. You give me the new Batman, because at that time Batman, the trilogy had ended, Nolan's Batman.
Mm-hmm.
You give me Batman, and then start giving me other films, and this is before pre-Man of Steel, that I was thinking, we need to see a couple of Batman movies, we need to see a Superman movie, we need to see a Wonder Woman movie. You know, and then I'll be like totally geeked for a Justice League movie. But Warner Brothers said, no, we know what we're doing. So it kind of seems like maybe, you know, Matt Reeves went in there and basically told them the same shit. Like, you people went the wrong fucking direction. You know it and I know it, and I'm going to be the first one to tell you to your face. It seems like that kind of is what happened to me. Slow down. Let's build up. Let's take what they did.
And that's kind of what it sounds like.
Yeah, and he probably said, you guys should have done this 5-6 years ago. But now that you know you fucked up, I'm willing to put the time into it. So it kind of seems like they finally said reluctantly, okay,
fine,
yeah,
we'll do it your way.
Right, we'll take our time before we rush into this giant universe. The only thing is, you've already put out a few things. And how does that look? You know what I mean? That's what I was saying, Nate, is like, I don't want to see this universe as much as I don't like it. Just let's pretend like it never happened. I don't want to see that. You better fucking end it. If you're gonna end it and restart it, because they did that shit with Spider-Man. They just left it fucking hanging, and they're like, dun dun dun, dun, it's the Amazing Spider-Man, and you're kind of like, okay, I get it. You threw another word in there, and it's not technically the same comic book. But what the fuck happened to Tobey Maguire and all that shit?
I think they could still do it with the cast that they've assembled right now.
Oh, I think they can too.
I think they could, when they do like the Batman films or Nightwing or Batgirl or whatever order that they're going to go in, is that they can do scenes at the end of the movies that kind of lets, you know, maybe we get a glimpse at what Wonder Woman is doing. You know, maybe Wonder Woman, you know, stumbles upon something and it sets up.
You mean kind of like at the end of the Batman movies or Batverse movies?
Right. Well, like you know, like maybe it's something like, you know, they could even show up in, you know, she can show up. They could have Wonder Woman show up in the Batman 2 or whatever the fuck they're gonna call it now. You know, and you know, introduce her so they can have like a little team up and not do it as shitty as Batman v Superman. You know, just kind of have it there, and then maybe once they get Flash in order, they could have Flash maybe teams up with Nightwing or something. Right. You know, and just kind of baby step it along to build up to the second Justice League movie where they could be Darkseid. The rumor right now is that it's Darkseid for the second one. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, they could... Or... and I don't take credit for this because it's something that Mark Bernardin brought up. You have two characters at the moment that can change this universe really fast. And we've touched upon this, of course, before. Mm-hmm. You have a very unique character that really, there's not many superheroes that have this ability to completely alter reality in The Flash. And that's been done before in Flashpoint, and that could be a really interesting take if that's how they decide to kill this universe. Right. That Flashpoint makes an excellent live action movie. Yeah, and to restart an entire universe in and of itself. Yeah. Right. You could have Flashpoint as a movie, or even if you want to just speed the fucking thing up. If you're trying, if they are in the process of rebooting, they could put part of the storyline into the Justice League movie. They could use the Flashpoint story in the Justice League movie, like at the end, and maybe that summons Darkseid somehow or whatever by what Flash does. Who the fuck knows? You could change the whole world in Justice League. You could change the whole expanded universe. Another character that Mark Bernardin was talking about was you have dead Superman, who, if we follow the comics,
is going to come back and not be his normal self. So just like, we already saw in Batman v Superman, the whole Flash going, no, you were right about him, or the nightmare vision that Batman had of Superman, landing in that sub-cave or whatever they were, and the soldiers bowing down to him. You have a character that you could twist him and make him turn on the universe, and he has such great powers that he could fuck the universe up, and maybe Flash has to come in and fix it. You have the ability, unlike Mark Bernard was thinking about, like look at Marvel, man. If they fucked their universe up, it wouldn't be this simple. And that's a pretty valid point.
Right. Well, I mean, there's a couple of characters in the Marvel universe that have the power to alter reality. They just have not been introduced yet. And
Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange he could use the Time Stone to alter that. He is capable of doing that.
I guess Thanos probably could change a lot of things with the Infinity Gauntlet.
Right, there's that. Madam Web is another one. She can kind of interdimensional travel.
She's Spiderman spinoff. She's like
I don't think she's not a spider character.
Evil vagina Spider-Woman.
Get caught in my web. In my web, I mean my vagina. I don't know why I was talking like Waddle there for a minute.
You totally were.
But
oh my god, you have mutant cobwebs in your pussy! I can't get out of it! It's an interdimensional portal! Anyways, go on, Nate. I know nothing about Madam Web.
But there's the Beyonder also can do it, and of course a number of Celestials and all this stuff have the ability to alter reality. It's just Marvel so far has not fucked up
at all.
And those characters will probably be introduced down the line. Chris Evans, as of right now, when his Captain America obligation is up, he's done. Mm-hmm. As of right now, apparently he'll stay if Marvel does something. But to what that is, I guess they have to do something big in order to kind of keep him.
Put more money in his pocket.
Right. I want to be paid like Robert Downey Jr.
You know that probably.
And that won't happen.
That probably rubs him the wrong way.
Right.
Sure.
I'm sure, greed.
I was just thinking about something, man. It's on subject, but a little bit off. But we're talking about how Marvel built their universe versus how DC has struggled to build their universe. And, the way that Marvel did it seems the right way. And the way that DC has done it doesn't seem the right way. But I was just thinking about, we're like Marvel, who hasn't done any fuck-ups. They haven't really, not on the scale of what DC's put out there.
Right.
But, we were all kind of with the second Thor film. I'm not a huge Thor fan, personally. But there was a lot of, the second Thor film, there was a lot of not my favorite Marvel movie. Still good. Still better than what DC's putting out. But Marvel, the way they built their universe, so what do we have coming now? Thor Ragnarok. Mm-hmm. Where, okay, Thor, you got a little bored with Thor, did you? Okay, well, guess what we're doing? Thor's got an all-new look, all-new weapon. Guess who we're bringing into Thor's universe? The Hulk. And I was just thinking about this while you were talking, DC's in a point where they can't do that shit.
No.
They can't be like, we fucked up Superman, but look at this is insane. And they kind of, Black Adam, the rumors about Black Adam being in the Man of Steel 2. The only thing is, we don't know who the fuck Black Adam is in the cinematic universe. The way Marvel and Disney played this out was, here's Hulk. Don't you fucking love him? Yeah, you love him. And now, we didn't do everything right with Thor, so we're going to throw Hulk in there. And you motherfuckers are going to love Thor all over again. And we will. From all indications, we will. I will.
Right, and it took Marvel. I don't know if they were really officially under the Marvel flag. I don't think they were, but it took them a couple of tries to get Hulk right too.
When they did the second Hulk film with
Edward Norton,
that was Disney.
That was.
Now I don't know if it was Disney Marvel, because remember it was Marvel.
I think
alone.
It was Disney. I think it might have been Disney alone. I don't think it was under the Marvel flagship.
It was.
And this was before the merger.
It might have been before the merger.
Right.
But it was a Marvel.
I mean, it was Marvel, but I don't...
If you go back and watch that movie, you see the Marvel in the beginning,
So it was a Marvel Cinematic Universe.
And they didn't quite nail it, so they said, okay, well, we're not going to rush to give you Hulk. We're not going to go, oh, let's just fucking reboot Hulk and put 3 more Hulk movies out there.
And they didn't do an origin story.
No, because...
They just introduced Hulk.
Remember the Hulk? You love the Hulk. Here he is, and he's better.
They did it twice. You already know his origin.
Yeah.
So you just... There's Hulk.
Right.
You know, with Mark Ruffalo. Mark Ruffalo's hit it out of the park.
Yeah.
You know?
Hulk in the Marvel Universe now is almost like this great side piece. He's like this really great cameo. You know, more than a cameo. But, I mean, yeah, you have this character that can bounce from movie to movie and just bring lightheartedness, humor to a movie. And a lot of people were bitching about the second Thor movie was darker and not as funny or whatever.
Right.
So, hey, let's bring in the Hulk. He's fucking comic relief. But, I mean, I was just thinking, when I brought this up, is DC has rushed so much shit that they don't have that character that we have taken our time to introduce to you. And if one of our other characters is slumping, we'll just put the two of them together. And all of a sudden it's brand new again. You know, because that's another one of the downsides from them rushing into shit. Is they don't have character development.
Yeah, it's... I don't know how they thought that the plan that they were going to do was going to work. Like, we're just going to rush all this together and it's just going to work on its own.
I guess they figured, man, and I agree. How did they understand or come to the conclusion that, yeah, we're going to make a fortune off this?
It's almost on a line of arrogance.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we're so confident that we know what we're doing that we don't have to follow their Marvel's set successful plan.
Right.
We can do it better. We'll just throw it all at once.
I think part of that is the DC branding. You know, you have such successful, recognizable characters that they have done. We've seen countless Batman movies. We've seen countless Superman movies. But we've never seen a Batman for that universe or a Superman for that universe. And I think that they just looked at it like, those logos are so big, we don't need to tell you we don't need to give you a solo movie. Even, I don't know. We're playing guesswork. And the fans don't think like the executives.
Yeah, they don't. It's sometimes the executives thinks they know what better than what the fans do.
Well, we're in it for the love, man. They're in it for the money.
Yeah.
If you make a fucking beautiful movie, take my money. We already pay $10 for a movie. If you told me, hey, episode 8's going to cost you $25, okay, all right.
Here's $25.
I might not like it, but...
And here's $25 for next year.
Right, I'm not going to hesitate at all. If you told me it was $100, Jeremy would bitch.
Because it's an established product. You know what you're going to get.
Right.
Unlike DC, where it's just a total clusterfuck.
Right.
And you don't know what one movie, the next movie that comes out could be made completely different.
Right.
Because the first movie sucks so bad. And they're like, oh, crap, so we got to change a bunch of this stuff. And it's a DC movie, but it's just got a different feel to it.
Well, imagine this. Imagine if we had seen Avengers, and, yeah, it would have been cool, but never having seen Guardians of the Galaxy. Avengers are in, Guardians are in Avengers. And you'd have been like, oh, wow, cool. But it would not have had the same effect.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Here's these characters, aren't they cool? Alright, on to the story now, and they're a part of it, and blah, blah, blah. Oh, hey, now we're going to make their own movie. I don't think it would have went over that well. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think they took something that they thought would work. Here's this movie, and it's a gamble. But if it pays off, we're going to put them in the Avengers movie, and you people will lose your shit when you see that.
Right.
And that formula is working. As
Right.
opposed to, here they are. You know, here's Wonder Woman.
Right.
Now you ready for a movie? It's kind of like, I was ready for the movie before you threw her in with Superman and Batman.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, if Marvel went that same route, if they open, let's say back in 2008, they open with the Avengers, and it's like, here's Iron Man and Black Widow and Hulk and Hawkeye and all this stuff, and they just all throw them together without a story to build to. It'd just be like, okay.
There would be that wow factor.
Like, wow, it's Robert Downey Jr. and it's the Human Torch from from Fantastic Four, and it's Scarlett Johansson. Who the fuck's Mark Ruffalo?
Right, right. There would have been a wow factor of like, oh wow, they're all on screen together, but you would have quickly gotten over that or used to it if there was no story.
And what built the anticipation was that it was Iron Man, and then there was a scene at the end. Oh crap! And it's so simple. It's just a desert, and then the camera pans over, and you see Thor's hammer. You're like, oh shit, it's Thor!
Yeah.
And then Thor comes out, and then goes that, and then at the end, and I can't remember the end credit scene for Thor. That's a good question. I can't remember what it was.
Was it something about Winter Soldier?
Was it? No, because then that would have... Or was it? I can't remember, but there was the end credit scene there, and then that
we used to have it. We used to have a department that looked all this shit up. They left with Ralph.
Yeah, Ralph took his talents to Gary.
Bare bones now, people. Get what you get. You don't throw a fit.
We're working on a skeleton crew.
Right.
But yeah, there was that scene, and then there was it went into another movie with the scene, and then it built the anticipation to the Avengers. Yeah. And then it made you like, oh my god, it's getting closer. Even in the first Iron Man, boom, Avengers Initiative. You're like, oh shit.
Yeah. When I first saw Samuel L. Jackson,
but the next movie wasn't Avengers.
Right.
They're like, here's a little nice little nugget there for you.
And I remember being a little pissed off at first with those end credit scenes because they are kind of all over the place. They'll give you one here about Doctor Strange or Thanos, and then you won't see shit about Thanos for a couple of movies. And I remember in the beginning, and you know what? Seriously, man, whoever came up with that idea of the end credit scenes, brilliant.
Yeah, he better be sleeping on a pile of money.
Yeah, whoever that dude was. And it had to be a no-name, because if it was like Kevin Feige or something, he'd be like, oh yeah, I created that shit.
Yeah, that's my
I made
shit
that
right
shit.
there.
That was my idea. Because what a brilliant way to lead us. Like a carrot in front of the horse. It's coming. Just hold on. It's coming. And it works, man. It really does. And when you get an end credit scene and it's something juicy, you're like, oh fuck. I don't care. I'll wait 4 years. I don't care. It's just brilliant. It works. But I remember feeling in the beginning like, why are they showing me a scene for a movie they don't plan on doing for 6 years? And I think the process has sped up. We have a lot more characters now.
Yeah.
The world's gotten a lot bigger, so the movies are coming a lot faster.
Yeah.
But yeah, brilliant. Another one of those brilliant Disney moves. I'm gonna try and look up the end credit scene of Thor.
Right. I want to say it was.
My hunch it was some Captain America.
It might have been like you saw Cap's shield or something was like in the background or. or something. It's escaping me at the moment. But yeah, it's amazing how the Marvel franchise has evolved into this juggernaut in a span of 10 years. You know?
Yeah, in 10 years, look at all the movies we've gotten.
And they've got it planned to 2020, 2025, possibly 2030.
Yeah, I heard 2030.
They've got just shitloads planned. Now, what characters they're going to introduce, who's going to take over for certain characters, because Robert Downey Jr. is not doing it forever.
Right.
As much as we fucking hate hearing that, he's not going to be Iron Man forever.
It almost brings a tear to my eye.
Right. Chris Evans is not going to be Captain America. Scarlett Johansson might bail a little bit after that.
Honestly, man, I think I can adjust to every single one of those except Iron Man.
Except Robert Downey, because he's
I don't know how they're going to pull that one off. I don't doubt them. They have proven me wrong so many times. They work magic in those studios, and I don't doubt them what their future plans are. And it's interesting to think they already know or have a good idea.
Yeah, they're probably compiling a list, or they have compiled a list of potential candidates to replace Robert Downey Jr. once he leaves.
I did hear, I believe it was Kevin Feige, almost positive. I did hear him say something a year ago or something about, like, the Avengers doesn't work without Tony Stark. And I don't know if that was a clear-cut way of saying,
Robert, we need you.
Well, maybe at that time it was just a petition for him to keep making movies.
Right.
But maybe it was also Disney's way of saying, we will replace him. Like, there will be another Tony Stark. Just like there was another Bruce Wayne, there will be another Tony Stark.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's true.
I found the end credit scene for Thor, and I was just, like, watching the first 15 seconds of it, but should we play it, maybe? On air?
I mean, they'll just hear the audio. They're not going to be privy to the...
Right, but I mean, most of us have seen Thor and might be able to piece together, like, oh yeah, I remember that scene.
Okay, yeah, I mean, why not? This would be a first. You know, playing...
She's searching for
Can even narrate it a little bit. Is Thor talking to... Oh, this is the very end of Thor.
Oh, this is the credits?
Apparently.
Oh, okay. So right now we're going through the credits right now. We're not at the end credits scene.
But it's interesting because I don't really remember, I don't recall this. The end of Thor, the camera is basically traveling through space and time, through like wormholes. And it's leading to the end credits scene, I believe. I don't know why it's not coming back to me. I don't remember all this.
Right, the camera's panning out to celestial bodies and clouds, and
it's got to be a Thanos. It's got to be something with Thanos.
Yeah, I don't remember this either. I've only watched it once, so that's probably why.
But I know I didn't miss this. I mean, I know I've seen the end credit scene. Kind of trippy, interesting looking visuals.
Almost like Doctor Who-esque. You know, you just replace this with Doctor Who music and it wouldn't even miss a beat.
And we have come upon... What was that mountain? It looked like they were going to stop on it for a moment. It looked like the Fortress of Solitude is what it looked like.
Right. Thor goes to the Fortress of Solitude.
Where you bitch?
I'll kick your ass.
Come out of hiding. Oh my god!
Well, that was a big letdown.
Yeah,
That was actually the credits, not the end credits scene.
Way to go, Darth Payne! So we won't be doing that segment anymore.
Oh well.
Anyways, now I have to find the end credits.
So now he's determined to find that scene.
But that was weird. The whole space travel that led to that mountain. Well, that must have been something on Asgard?
It might have been, I guess.
Okay, so here's
Do we have it now?
Here's the actual end credit scene.
All right. Oh, it's right. It's
You're the man behind all this?
Oh, I remember it now. Kinda.
I was thinking that taking me down here to kill me.
Nick Fury,
I've
what a
been hearing about
badass.
the New Mexico situation. Your work has impressed a lot of people who are much smarter than I am. I have a lot to work with. The Foster theory, a gateway to another dimension. It's unprecedented.
Isn't it?
Legend tells us one thing, history another. But every now and then we find something that belongs to both.
It's the I think this is when the Tesseract.
Power, Doctor. If we can figure out how to tap it,
And I don't know.
maybe unlimited.
I don't know if this was the one where it actually turned out to be Loki.
Oh, yeah.
It is. Yeah, it was. It turned out to be Loki in disguise as Nick Fury. And he gives the Doctor from Thor the Tesseract and has him work on the Tesseract, which led up to it was the Avengers. It led up to the Avengers because there was the explosion at the New Mexico facility or at a facility where they were messing with the Tesseract.
At this facility, probably.
Right, probably. It could have been that facility, yeah. So yeah, there was that, and that built up to the Avengers. So that just goes to show the creative mind and the detail that went into these, how they carefully crafted these end credit scenes to build into the next one. And then they did another one to build into the next one until they build up to the big collaboration. And then a couple of more movies after that to build up to the second big collaboration. And it's a formula that has continually worked movie after movie after movie. And it if anything else, it builds that anticipation to that next movie. And then that movie builds the anticipation to the next movie. And it's turned into one of those things where it's like, here's my money, take it.
I was just thinking of the end credit scenes we've gotten from DC.
Yeah,
Pretty piss poor when you stop and think
right.
about
If
it.
you compare them to Marvel, it's like, what the fuck are you doing, guys?
Yeah, I've complained many times about the Suicide Squad end credit scenes. It's just fucking all over the place. It's just amazing, and I almost get tired of hating on DC, but then again,
They make it so easy.
they make it so easy. But that end credit scene was fucking horrible. It made no sense whatsoever about who Batman is, about why you're showing me shit I already know. I mean, the idea of an end credit scene is to pique your interest into another world that you don't. Hey, you didn't know this. Check this out. Suicide Squad was like, okay, I already know that. And wait, so Batman works for bad guys too? Because
Right. It just sent a conflicting and
Yeah.
confusing message. Like, what, really? Like,
so what did we get at the end of Batman vs Superman? Did we get anything? Was there an end credit scene?
I haven't watched it.
Oh, that's
I
right.
watched
You
the whole
haven't.
thing, you know?
And I've only seen it once, even though I bought it. I own it. It's a Batman film. I bought it.
Right.
I'm not real proud of that fact, but
I'm sorry, guys.
I bought it and have only watched it once. I take that back. I watched it once and then once with my kids, but really I wasn't watching it the second time.
Right.
I don't know if we got an end credit scene. I really don't know.
Unless it was the one where Superman's hand kind of busted through the soil or something like that. I guess that's how it ended, or if that was at the end of the movie, but not an end credit scene.
Really miss those facts guys. I don't miss Ralph. I just miss our facts checking guys. Oh, I'm kidding. I miss Ralph. I miss Wreck-It Ralph. Shout out to Wreck-It Ralph. We love you.
I don't think they did an end credit scene because they didn't want to do the Marvel thing.
Another fuck up.
Right, exactly.
I don't think they did either.
Yeah, I think that might have been at like the end of the movie, and they just kind of left it like that, and it's just like, oh, there you go, you know.
Yeah, because there was the thing about the coffin. I'm researching it. But anyways.
You're right.
While I'm doing that, Nate, you got other topics? We're going to talk about the trailer eventually, right? We're going to do that, right? We're going to talk about Star Wars, right?
Right. Well, I'll swing back to my Spider-Man thing while you look that up. Eric Carroll, he revealed all of the battlegrounds that Toombs has worked at, and he's salvaged tech from over the last 5 years. And it turns out that he has visited other parts of the Marvel universe. He says this isn't like to be inferred. Like the New York, in the Avengers, the Chitauri invasion.
Mm-hmm.
He would have had access to the Chitauri weaponry in their armor. So he's gathered tech from that one. And then he hops over to London for the second Thor movie when the Dark Elves attacked. And he got Dark Elf blasters and alien grenades.
Wow.
He salvaged those techs. Flash forward to Sokovia, Age of Ultron. He had access to vibranium armor and advanced AI.
So does this mean the Vulture has vibranium on his suit?
It's possible.
Wow.
And also, in Civil War, Lagos, the crossbones, the bombing and the attack early on in the movie. Mm-hmm. Apparently he salvaged Crossbones gauntlets.
Oh, wow.
Engineered them and basically turned them into Shocker's weapons.
Oh, wow.
So the thing that you see in the trailer, that's Crossbones gauntlet, tacked up to now it delivers, not only is it just pneumatic, but now it delivers a shock when it hits you.
Well, that's an interesting way of keeping Crossbones still going.
Right. I love you, bro.
Right. and when he appeared, kicked the bucket in Avengers Age of Ultron, I remember thinking, well, that
Civil War.
Was it Civil War?
It was Civil War. Crossbones was in it.
I remember thinking, that seemed premature.
Right. Here's Crossbones, this badass character. I'm dead.
And he was pretty cool. The character on screen was cool.
Right.
I remember thinking, well, that might have been a misstep. But Marvel says, no, have no fear.
Don't worry. We got this.
Remember who we are, bitches.
We got this.
So it shows, I have done a little bit of fact checking. It says that final scene in Batman vs. Superman. So yeah, there's no end credit scene.
Yeah, I kind of figured.
It's just the final scene. Lois Lane looking at the coffin in the grave and pouring dirt in her hand over it. And this is the point in the movie I thought we were going to see like a hand or something
Like Superman pops behind him.
Yeah.
So, who's getting buried?
I remember actually going, don't. And they really came close, but they didn't.
Yeah.
The camera focuses on the coffin real hardcore, and you're like, don't do it. And then it just fades to black.
Oh, yeah, so that's kind of a shitty way to
Yeah.
end it there, but whatever.
Talk about missteps, man. I get it. You're trying to separate yourself, but the end credits, as a businessman, you got to look at that and go, hey, man, that shit works. I mean, Fox didn't have no hesitations. Fox is like, we're going to put one in front of the movie.
Right.
And it worked. So, yeah, it's amazing, really, to think that how successful those end credit scenes were, and they don't decide to use one.
Right.
But then use one with Suicide Squad. Talking about that all over the place. In everything they do.
Well, hopefully they'll get their shit on track. If they focus on a specific.
Yeah, like I said, man, when I saw that video, I was like, whoa. But then I started thinking, like, hey, man, I'm a Batman fan. And every aspect of Gotham, I mean, this is part of the reason why I love the show Gotham. Every aspect of that universe, bring it. There's so much to Batman that if they're going to do the other stuff down the road, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I am. I was trying to think the whole time we were doing this podcast. There were two names that Mark Bernardin threw out there that were seriously being considered for Batgirl.
Okay.
One of them is that chick that is a director, the Hurt Locker. She's blonde.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of her name. I've been trying to think of her name. A good actress, like a big name, but God, it's bothering me now. And the other one was Bryce Dallas Howard. Bryce Howard Dallas, whatever her fucking name is.
Okay. Ron Howard's daughter.
Yeah, Lost World. Jurassic World. I always say Lost World.
Right, okay.
Have you seen Jurassic World?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that chick could be Batgirl. And the other chick won an Oscar. I can't remember her name though.
The only one that I know is semi-famous was, I think, is Dakota Fanning. Or no, that's the actress. There's a female director. God damn it.
This chick was married to James Cameron. I know her whole life story. I don't know her name. She was married to James Cameron for a while. And no, not the chick from Terminator. This chick, because he was married to her for a while too.
Oh,
James Cameron throwing the big D around.
I'm James Cameron. Look at this.
You want to be in my movie? You're gonna sleep with me first, and then marry me. Gosh, I can't think of her name. I don't really know her that well. I remember thinking, well, out of the two, I think I'd rather see Bryce Dallas Howard or whatever the fuck her name is. But it seemed like, wow, well, if this Mark Bernardin guy is like hearing things, because it kind of sounded like he had heard this.
Right.
They're gonna go in an older direction. These are not two. It's not one of
a younger.
Yeah.
They're not doing a younger. They're doing an older, more established
Batgirl. Which
right.
I'm all for that. Yeah, I don't want to see. I don't want to see 19-year-old Batgirl. I mean, I guess my problem is what actress.
They're gonna have to do a quick kind of an origin at the beginning to kind of to build up to that, because if you just started off like that, if they're not really well versed in this, it'd be like, who the fuck is this? Mm-hmm. Like, female Batman, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You know, without explaining
Agreed.
how it came upon that.
Agreed. Yeah, I think that's all the Batman news I had. And all the Spiderman news you had. Yeah,
pretty much. There's not much else that, we're kind of in a lull here until at least next week, hopefully, when the Star Wars trailer comes out. And then, of course, we'll have a shitload to talk about that.
Yeah.
What we liked about it, what we didn't like about it.
Right.
But it's just kind of a holding pattern right now until some of these movies come out, like Wonder Woman, and Spider-Man, and all this stuff comes out.
We're right on the cusp.
Yeah.
of a lot of exciting stuff coming at us, and it's about to happen. Kind of like the unofficial start of it, I guess. Almost seems like Star Wars Celebration next week.
Yeah, well, almost like a roller coaster. We're making the climb until a specific point, and then it's all just going to be downhill thrills and loop-de-loops and all this stuff when all these movies start coming out.
So, last 10 minutes or whatever, let's talk about what we know about Episode 8 and what we speculate about what we'd like to see from this incredible trailer that we've been holding our breaths for.
Forever, it seems
I will say this to start things off, Nate Dogg, it's got a lot of pressure on it.
Yeah.
Which makes me believe it's good.
It's good. It might be balls to the wall.
I mean, we've heard
type of action here.
We've heard rumors that way back before Rogue One or right after Rogue One that they showed a trailer to executives. Remember the head of Disney, whatever.
Yeah, Bob Iger.
Was it Iger?
I think Bob Iger.
Okay.
He. It was like a couple of months ago.
Like in January, I think.
Yeah, it was like back in January. He had already seen the full movie.
The whole movie?
The whole movie.
Oh,
not just the trailer. The whole movie.
Wow.
And which, one of the perks of being an exec, you...
Money buys everything!
You see a movie a year in advance, pretty much.
Yeah. Full year in advance. But he had just, like a good businessman, said it's a wonderful addition to the Star Wars universe and Disney films and blah, blah, blah. But so we know that, and I know I've heard speculation that other people, they dropped a trailer way back. I remember they dropped a trailer, I heard something was like in Las Vegas. Okay. To a select few people, and I don't know, they had big pockets too, and that's why they got to see it.
To the Illuminati.
Right, there was 6 people in a room, all Illuminati members. But we know from what Nate and I have been seeing and speculating about, we know that they're going back to some cool planets.
Yes. Tatooine and Mustafar. Probably not all in this picture.
Maybe spread out over
8 and 9. 8 and 9 probably. So we probably won't see both Tatooine and Mustafar in 8. Maybe we'll see Tatooine in 8, Mustafar in 9, or Mustafar in 8 probably is more than likely because of Vader's castle. Rumored, we're speculating, might be the new home of the Knights of Ren. Mm-hmm. And then maybe Tatooine in Episode 9.
We have also been talking about these awesome gorilla AT-ATs that they've mentioned.
Yeah, and which segue into the trailer. I would like to see one of these in the trailer.
Oh, fuck.
They don't have to show the battle. I just want to see, maybe it could be some troops running, and let's. I don't even know what because there's supposed to be a big drawn out battle. And I don't know what planet it takes part on, what the pilot looks like. But let's say they're running through the forest, and all of a sudden you see, bam, and you just see like a huge an arm just come down, and then the next shot is like this new walker. Yeah. Just this mammoth walker and just unleashing hell.
Almost like, and this is what I'm seeing in my mind, a camera on the ground looking up at it.
Right.
And you're just seeing the scale of this thing, because apparently, I don't know if we talked about it already on previous podcasts, but they're supposed to be twice the size of the original
the Imperial AT-ATs.
And agile and quick.
Yeah, so I know they don't have to show the whole battle, but maybe they can show one of these new AT-ATs in action just to kind of to see the devastation that this thing is supposedly supposed to wreak upon the battlefield. We know that there are going to be new versions of TIE fighters and TIE bombers in this movie. Mm-hmm. The First Order, it sounds like the First Order is just going balls out, declaring war. Mm-hmm. Doesn't sound like they're even going to be subtle about it. Mm-hmm. Kylo Ren is supposed to get his own TIE Advanced
Interceptor or whatever.
Or a fighter.
Some version of a TIE fighter.
Yeah, an advanced version of it. We don't know if it's going to be in the same design like Vader's. If it is, then this kid's got a serious fucking problem. If he's trying to be Vader so much. We haven't seen any designs on that, so again, it's just pure speculation.
Also snow speeders.
Speeder bikes.
Speeder bikes, thank you. I read or I saw a video and they said it's confirmed there are new speeder bikes. That's something I want to see in the trailer too. I want to see the speed of it.
Probably not in a jungle because they did that already. Maybe it could be maybe in an open area where you can really they can just crank it open, and not pod racer ish, but like you can get how fast they are, and like if depending on who's on them. It would be funny to see Luke on one.
I was just gonna say, bro. I want to see the speeder bike in the trailer. I really want to see Luke on one.
Like it'd be a callback. Like maybe he could say something in there.
Maybe even Luke and Ray holding on to him in back, like Leia.
Right, and
that would be badass.
Like, man, I've done this before, or something like that. Something to call back to episode 6 or something.
And so maybe he says something like, I've ridden one of these once before, except there were a lot of huge trees in my way. Something like that.
Something, yeah.
But that would be awesome, and I really am excited about like the sheer speed of those, and you know, we kind of back in 1983 got a taste of like, wow, the immense speed of these bikes that they were on. And now this is the updated version. Technology in making movies has progressed. I want to see what it feels like to go 500 miles an hour on one of these little levitating bikes. And, I think they can do it now. So that's kind of exciting to me. Also, I want to see what lightsaber Rey is going to wield. Right. I don't know if we'll see that in the trailer. I almost think that they might try to save that
for the movie
itself or the last trailer. Even though we've waited forever for this, it's going to be a teaser trailer. I think we're going to get a full 2 minutes at least.
Right.
But I think there's going to be a lot of vague references. I think we're going to have a lot to talk about next week. I think there's going to be a lot of like, oh, fuck, what was that? Is that what I think it was?
Right.
Stuff like that. But I'm curious about her lightsaber. I'm curious about his lightsaber. If it's going to be the original green lightsaber, I say put that bitch in the trailer. I say if he's going to be wielding the old green lightsaber, all you got to do is show him igniting it.
I want to see a little bit of the action that he's involved with.
Mm-hmm. A little teaser.
A little bit. I don't want to see the whole drawn out battle, but maybe against a couple of grunts, because supposedly the First Order is coming to this planet.
That's what I heard. Yeah,
and with Kylo Ren. Kylo Ren's not going to come alone.
Right.
So he's going to come with the First Order. So let's, it could be a couple of First Order troops, like maybe. Luke's just sitting there, and maybe they fire at him, and he just puts up his hands, and instead of stopping him, reflects it right back at him with his eyes closed. Maybe he doesn't even move. Maybe he just has his eyes closed, and it just does that.
That's what I want to see. I want to see Yoda before he was bouncing around like a crazy jumping jack or whatever,
or possibly what they do. maybe toward the end of this, of the trailer, is maybe they'll go the Vader route. And what I mean by that is that from Rogue One, where you just see Luke, and maybe he's face to face with Kylo, and all of a sudden you see the green lightsaber.
You took the words right out of my mind.
And then boom, it ends right there.
At the end of the trailer. You literally just read my mind, bro. Seriously. Like, what I was thinking, whatever, all these thoughts going through my head, and I'm thinking about, like, what Nate was just saying, like, we want to see a little bit of that raw power of the Force with Luke. But not too much.
Yeah, not too much. We don't want them to blow their entire load on this trailer.
Picture this, bro. Kylo Ren, it's dark. Kylo Ren and...
Maybe it's in a cave.
Right.
Right.
And Kylo Ren is... You see Luke's robe and cloak. You're from behind Luke. And you see Kylo Ren's face pretty clearly. And there's a little bit of dialogue. And Kylo Ren says something like... something about grandfather.
Like maybe he'll say... I am better than my grandfather, or something like that.
And Luke says, "You never knew your grandfather." And all you see is the blade emit. And right there, man, I will. Oh! Oh my God! I will. I'll lose my shit. I'm telling you. I want to see a little bit more of Luke, obviously, because we saw nothing of him in 7. But I don't want them to give us full
too
blown.
much.
Yeah, I don't want to see it.
Right, that's what I'm just saying. Just kind of give us a taste.
Let us know what's coming.
What
he
is potentially capable of doing in this movie.
Yeah, and when that green lightsaber lights up, you see a little bit of fear flicker in Kylo Ren's eyes. Like, shit. Maybe I should have said that.
Right.
That'd be a great ending for me. A lot of people have speculated that he's not even going to use the lightsaber, and the closer we get to the trailer, the more I'm kind of against that idea.
We may even, because we know that there's going to be a new lightsaber design in this movie,
which I think personally that has to do with Benicio del Toro's character.
That could be,
but
it could be Rey's.
It could be Rey's new lightsaber.
Again, pure speculation. It could be a lightsaber staff. To complete Rey's training as a Jedi, you have to construct a lightsaber. So maybe she takes her staff and kind of molds it into that something. They did say it is going to be a new design that we haven't seen before.
Yeah, it almost makes no sense for her to carry the staff around for an entire movie and not turn it into her next weapon is going to be something similar.
Upgraded, right.
Yeah. So, I mean, she's proficient with a staff. Let's turn it into a lightsaber staff. She's already got skill in it.
Right.
See, I can't see her carrying a staff around for an entire movie and then she just
discards it.
Right. And then, hey, now I'm going to use a lightsaber.
Now I'm going to use, exactly.
So I think that was all planned. I don't know. I guess for the trailer, I want to see more Snoke. I want to see more Snoke, and it doesn't necessarily. Again, same thing with Luke. I don't need to see Snoke. I don't need to see a shit ton of Snoke.
Right.
I want to see a little more of Snoke, something to intrigue us, to let us know a little bit more about who he is. But I also want to see. I want to see the First Order, like, in all of their badness. You know what I mean? Like,
right, because we really haven't seen them...
No, as far as, like, this is the scourge of the universe.
A full military...
We saw them lined up like Nazis.
Right, but then that was it.
That was about it. We haven't seen an onslaught or what they have, what they possess, what they're capable of.
How large they are, how powerful they are.
Right.
What their navy looks like.
Right.
If they've got modified Star Destroyers.
Well, I've heard that. Super Star Destroyers.
Super Mega Destroyers.
Sunday. Yeah, I've heard that the Star Destroyers that we have seen, the Super Star Destroyers that we have seen, are going to pale in comparison to the First Orders. Star Destroyers. Like, they're even bigger. Like,
I mean, the Super Star Destroyers were pretty fucking massive.
I know, right?
And to have
So it's a moving city.
to have something like this, that's just kind of like, we got a bigger dick than you guys.
It's turning into Spaceballs. Well,
Your Schwartz
your
is as
Schwartz
big as mine.
Your Schwartz is as big as mine. That's the First Order's tagline.
What the hell's the Schwartz?
Our Schwartz is as big as theirs was. You see it on all their ships. It's, down with the Resistance, and our Schwartz is as big as theirs was.
They have bumper stickers at the end. We break for planets.
Let's see. What else do I want to see in this trailer?
I would like to see, if the new, I mean, it could be in the trailer, but I mean, if the First Order is getting all of these new gadgets, I want to see some Resistance gadgets.
Yeah, that's a good
Maybe
point.
a modified X-wing.
That's
I know
a
they
good
showed
point.
the Black Squadron led by Poe. Maybe a modified A-wing. Maybe even a new model.
Yeah.
I don't know. Bring back the U-wing for fuck's sake.
Yeah,
you know?
I love the U-wing.
Maybe they find the blueprints for the U-wing somewhere, and then they mass produce them as badass ships or something.
Almost seems like a flaw to not bring the U-wing into the universe.
You right, and even
After having it in Rogue One.
yeah, just have it be a throwaway, ship. Oh, look at this awesome thing. Oh yeah, well you're never gonna see it again.
Right. But at least introduce it back into the universe.
Right. I'd like to see capital ships for the Resistance.
Yeah, that's
because they've got to have a navy.
That's a
you can't imagine the Resistance being wiped out by a Starkiller base. That's just
right.
Even though it was kind of implied. We're gonna destroy the Resistance thing.
No, I don't think it's.
I think their navy's got to be somewhere else.
You would think that where they're at now far surpasses what the rebels had.
You figure there's got to be something near Coruscant. I would like to see, not in the trailer, but I would like to see Coruscant post Empire. Like what's the current situation of Coruscant? You can.
I tell you what, man. As long as it's quick, and I mean like less than 2 seconds, you can show. Like, I'm all for like an aerial view of Coruscant.
Like maybe they'll show a Resistance flagship kind of flying away from Coruscant.
Right.
Maybe you see like the shipyards in orbit. Like, okay, that's where they're manufacturing.
Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna go back to all these planets, bring back Coruscant.
Because Coruscant is supposedly the capital. Well, was the capital of the Republic. It was the capital of the Empire.
Of the Empire too.
It's got to be the capital of the New Republic or whatever they're calling it now.
Right. I would even like to see in the trailer a little bit of an homage to Han Solo, and I know we're gonna get something. Harrison Ford is in.
Maybe we'll see the coffin.
Yeah, something like that. Something little, just so that it doesn't feel like, oh yeah, that thing happened, and now we're just moving on.
Right.
Supposedly, we heard this a long time ago. Supposedly, there's a funeral scene. That's all speculation. We don't know, but that would fit. That works, I think. Han is dead, but Han's spirit has to stay alive in one form or another somehow in this universe. Maybe even through Kylo Ren in the very end. Who knows? Maybe he ends up becoming more like his father in the end when it's all said and done.
Right.
But yeah, I want to see all-out war. All-out war. I don't want to see like a...
They said that this was supposed to be a dark movie.
Mm-hmm.
This was supposed to be the dark movie. Of course, Empire was kind of the dark movie too, a little bit. Or was it Jedi? I think it was this too because you had the Battle of Hoth, and Rebels kind of got their ass kicked there, and then the whole.
Yeah, no, Empire was definitely a dark movie.
So I mean, I would love for there to be epic battles.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they're going to go space battles quite yet. But ground battles, it's obviously if they're doing the guerrilla walkers, there's got to be some sort of ground battle.
Right.
A long, drawn-out ground battle somewhere.
So, as for Yoda, Vader, and, well, you could even throw Qui-Gon in there, but Obi-Wan, do we want to see something of those three characters in the trailer? And how so, if we do? Force Ghosts? Have we ever seen Yoda as a Force Ghost? We have not.
At the end of Return of the Jedi.
Okay, yeah. I think it would be cool to show a scene, and this just popped into my head, of grown Master Jedi, Grandmaster Jedi Luke talking to Force Ghost Yoda, his mentor. That would be cool.
Right.
Yoda in a cave in ghost form, and Luke like, I don't know how to train her, or something like that. Just some sort of dialogue.
Right.
Would be cool, and another homage to Empire Strikes Back.
Right.
If this is the Empire film in the trilogy, that would be cool. God knows I want to see more Vader, but I don't know how. Vader's one of those really touchy characters because we have built up perfection in our minds and don't want to see it ruined, but we want to see more. You know what I mean? And I think Disney gets that so far, but I've heard speculation about the cape, that Kylo is going to be wearing the cape. So that could be something cool, Vader-esque, that he sees it, and maybe even there's a flashback, when he picks it up or something.
Yeah.
But let's hope they don't overdo the old characters.
Yeah. Yeah, I can kind of see
In
that.
7, we got a little bit of Yoda's voice, a little bit of Obi-Wan's voice, a little bit of Darth Vader through the mask, which I thought was really fucking cool.
Yeah.
And the lightsaber. I'm all for, them dropping little Darth Vader things. That seems to work.
Especially if they're going to do Vader's castle in this one, too. There's,
Then I want to see some cool shit on the inside.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We got a little bit of that in Rogue One, but those scenes were so quick. But yeah, there's a lot I want to see, man.
That's true. That is true.
In 2 minutes, there's going to be things that I'm going to go, oh, I wish they would have put that in there. But
when's the next trailer coming out?
Yeah, maybe in the next trailer.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's about all I got this week. And
All right. Well,
next week we'll be coming at y'all full speed ahead with the Star Wars trailer breakdown, Episode 8 breakdown, and whatever else we hear from Star Wars Celebration at that point, or by that point, because it's not just about the trailer. They're going to be announcing some big shit.
right.
There's speculation
Probably the next
couple of movies.
Yeah. Maybe even some new ones that they haven't even announced yet either.
We might even fucking get a little teaser trailer from the Han Solo movie.
Ooh, that too. We'll keep our eyes out for that one. If there is one, we will give you.
May of next year.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So you're only a year away, really.
Right? So they could drop a little bit of that, like they did for Justice League.
Yeah.
At San Diego, just kind of pieced some stuff together, showed it. Hey, what do you guys think? Kind of like that.
Dude, yeah, they're filming it, and I'm sure there's some cool scenes between him and Lando, young Lando.
Yeah.
You can do a 45-second teaser trailer of just them talking about something funny or whatever, and then the Millennium Falcon and Lando's driving it.
Yeah.
End credit or end trailer right there, and people will be like, "Oh my god!" Or young Chewie.
Right.
Yeah, younger Chewie.
Yes.
I mean, they got enough footage to get people excited, and you're there. Why would you not? The question now has become, why would you not do it?
Yeah, why would you not do it?
Yeah,
exactly.
The more I think about it, fuck yes, why not? You're only a year away. get people into
hyped
that.
about it.
Yeah, because right after 8, we're 5 months away from the Han Solo
from Han
movie.
Solo, and then another 5 months, another 7 months, 6 or 7 months from
Oh my god!
Episode 9.
Wow.
Because Episode 9 is the next year, the next December. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
Next year's gonna be exciting. Just thinking about how they're all that close together. A lot of Star Wars coming at you next year, people, from the Nerd Eye Council. So, anyways, we're going to end on that note right at the 2-hour mark. And catch us next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.
see you guys later.
Peace.
Bye.